Today we're going to talk about the 5 best breakfast foods to gain weight and to gain muscle mass. But before we get into that, I want to first talk about some of the overall context to what really matters when you're trying to gain weight. So it's not necessarily food selection, although that can help. What really matters is your macros and your overall calories. So your macros being your protein, your fat, and your carb breakdown of the foods that you're actually eating, and your calories being the overall caloric surplus or deficit that you're in. So are you taking in more calories than you're burning? That's going to determine if you're going to surplus and if you're actually going to gain weight. Or are you burning more calories than you're taking in? That's going to put you in a caloric deficit. You're going to lose weight. In terms of what this actually looks like from a calorie breakdown, for most high school, college, or professional baseball players, we're looking in the range of 3,500 to 4,500 calories per day. So maybe your bigger, faster metabolism, more active guys are going to be towards the upper end of that range, and your smaller, slower metabolism, less active guys are going to be towards the lower end of that range. But again, very few people are going to fall outside of that range of about 3,500 to 4,500 calories a day if they're trying to gain weight. From a meal breakdown perspective, this is going to be about 1,200 calories at least per meal over 3 meals. So what this generally means is that that's a lot of food. Most guys aren't going to be able to force feed themselves for 3 meals a day for 3, 6, 12 months on end. So the only way to be able to sustain this and actually follow a weight gain diet over the long term is to be focusing on foods that are more calorie dense and less filling, so a lower satiety rating. So that's what these foods that we're going to show you are going to help you with. It's not the foods that are actually going to determine whether you're gaining weight, it's the macros and calories. But the calorie dense foods that I'm going to show you are going to make it much easier to actually stick to and follow that diet, because you're not going to have to force feed yourself each meal. You're going to be focusing on much more dense foods that are going to make it easier to hit those calorie numbers. Number 1 is a high calorie cereal. So we're looking at things like granola or mini wheats, things that are going to be about 200 calories for maybe 2/3 of a cup or for 1 cup, to where a big bowl of cereal is going to give you in that 400 to 500 calorie range. So we're looking at things that are, again, going to be lower sugar but high carbohydrates. So a lot of complex carbohydrates that's going to give you a sustained amount of energy over the course of the day, rather than just getting a quick burst of energy from your lower protein, your higher sugar, maybe lower quality cereals. Number 2 is going to be a higher calorie milk. So we like using Fairlife milk just because it has a lower sugar and a higher protein content. But again, Fairlife whole milk or Fairlife chocolate milk are great options. This is something that if you already drink milk throughout the day, simply going from a 90 or 120 calories per cup of that to that 150, even 200 calorie range, very easy tweak that you can do that's going to get you that extra few hundred calories over the course of the day. Number 3 is going to be bagels. So there's nothing wrong with bread, there's nothing wrong with making toast in the morning. The problem is most bread is going to be in that 70 to 110, 120 calories per slice range, whereas most bagels, they're going to be in that 250 to 300 calorie range. So you just get a little bit more bang for your buck. Bagels are a little bit more calorie dense than most breads. So again, a toasted bagel with something like peanut butter on it is a great option. And that takes me into number 4, which is nut butters. So anything like peanut butter, almond butter, nut butters are very, very calorie dense, and again, 2 tablespoons is going to run you about 200 calories. So a very easy way to fit a couple hundred extra calories into your breakfast. The reason we like putting nut butters on, again, toast or bagel in the morning is that if we're just sticking to things like regular butter, we're getting a lot higher saturated fat content. So you're already going to be getting a lot of saturated fat through the meat and the dairy that you're eating over the course of the day. So adding in nut butters is going to get you more of those unsaturated, those polyunsaturated, monounsaturated fats that you're going to want an even balance of those different types of fats over the course of the day. Number 5 is going to be whole eggs. So egg protein is rated as one of the top quality complete protein sources from a bioavailability standpoint. So right there off the bat, we're getting a very high quality protein source. You're also getting a very high quality fat source as far as the actual yolk of the egg. So as far as the quantity of eggs, we're not looking at that 2 to 3 egg range. Most guys who are trying to gain weight should be eating at least 5 to 6 eggs with their breakfast. To wrap it up, I just want to make a point about the overall quality of the weight that you're going to gain on the diet. So a lot of factors are going to influence this, such as your starting leanness, your genetics, your training history, the actual training program that you're following. But the overall biggest factor in determining the quality of the weight gain is going to be the level of caloric surplus that you're in. So as a general rule, novices, beginners, guys who haven't reached close to their genetic potential as far as how much muscle mass they're actually carrying are going to be able to get away with being in a higher caloric surplus. So they're going to be able to eat far more over their maintenance calories and still maintain most of that weight gain being muscle, as opposed to more advanced lifters, more advanced trainees who need to eat just in a very, very slight caloric surplus to maintain the quality of that weight gain. So somebody who's, maybe within 10 pounds of their genetic limit can't be eating in a 2,000 calorie surplus. But again, that 6'5", 155 pound string bean kid, he can be eating 1,500 calories over his maintenance level, and the majority of that weight is going to be muscle mass. So being able to understand where you're at in that training progression, understand the other factors such as your genetics, your training program, and being able to tailor that exact amount of caloric surplus based on where you're at.